two of the best teams in NCAA lacrosse ready to go at it for an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Princeton and Yale, it's coming up in just moments here on the Ivy League on ESPN. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome inside Sherrod Field, class of 1952 stadium, alongside the U.S. Lacrosse Hall of Famer Chris Saylor. I'm Jeff O'Connor. Two-time Ivy League Player of the Year, Krista Samaras is down at field level. She'll join us in just a little bit. All right, Coach, this should be an absolute blast. Both teams needed goals in the final minutes on Friday just to get to Championship Sunday. They played a tight game during the regular season as well. We're hoping for a classic.
Yeah, this whole tournament has showcased the parity in the Ivy League and the incredible talent of the student athletes who compete in the Ivy League. Today you have Yale and Princeton going for the Ivy League Tournament Championship and a chance to host a first-round NCAA game. So a lot on the line for both teams today.
Let's talk about the players to watch in today's contest. And why don't we take a look at the quick double box here. And a pair of players with 200 goals in the Ivy League. It's never happened before. They're going to go at it today, and they're certainly going to be big keys to decide today's contest and who goes to the NCAA tournament. Why don't we focus on Jenna Collignan of the Yale Bulldogs, who was a big focal point in the game on Friday, and she's been great all season long.
Yeah, Jenna is Yale's powerhouse senior attacker. She leads the team in goals with 54 and draw controls with 66. She is a threat to score every time she touches the ball.
On the other side for the Princeton University Tigers, Mackenzie Blake, who just made some history on Friday. She's got 70-plus goals on the year.
Yeah, 78 points on the season to lead Princeton. She is an inside threat off of the feed, and she's proven that when her feeders are shut down, she can take the ball herself and score. She had 5 goals in the first game against Yale, so Tigers are going to be relying on Mackenzie to have a big night.
Neve Pfaff is going to get the nod in goal today. She had a really nice campaign as a freshman. Got better and better as the game went on in the semifinals. The Verona, New Jersey native is between the pipes today for Yale. As we take a look at the starters for the Yale Bulldogs, a team that scores 13.7 goals per game, and defensively they are stingy, allowing just about 8.5 per game this season. Somewhere in the middle of that huddle, how about this? Elizabeth Ganella is going to get the starting goal. She came in late in the first quarter in the semifinals, did excellent in the game. She was above 50% for the contest. She's going to get the nod today from head coach Jen Cook, and we'll see her between the pipes and see if she can duplicate that performance. And for the Princeton Tigers, you take a look at what they've done this year, scoring almost 16 goals per game and allowing less than 11 per contest. Let's throw it down to field level for the third member of our broadcast team, Krista Samaras. How's it feel down there?
It is amazing down here. The feelings from the fans, to the players, to the coaches, to my own guts. It is going to be a battle today. People have come to play, and I mean the people out there. Tigers versus Bulldogs. Are you nervous? Because I am.
We're a little nervous. It should be an absolute blast. They've got a lot to live up to from the last 2 games that happened on Friday. You take a look at the tail of the tape between the two teams. The Tigers, a little bit more of a scoring threat. Yale, a little bit better on the defensive side of things. Both pretty active in the circle. We'll talk about that as the game goes on. And Yale, certainly a hungry team off ball, picking up balls and getting the ball back. The game they played was up in New Haven a few weeks ago, and the Tigers won by a score of 13-11. Coach, it's Championship Sunday in the Ivy League as we take a look between these two teams. Tigers have had the better edge, but Yale has been right there with them basically since the 2022 Ivy Final. There's been a quick amount of history between these two teams the last few years. It's Ivy Championship Sunday. Here we go.
There has. I remember that 22 final very well. And these teams met in the very first Ivy weekend of the year. So they haven't seen each other in just about 2 months now. So it'll be interesting to see if they have to feel each other out or if they attack it right away.
Let's go. Tigers are in their home whites. They're the number 1 seed in the tournament. They'll go from right to left. The Yale Bulldogs, they're the number 2 seed in the tournament. They will go from left to right there in their road navies. The Tigers were picked to finish 3rd in the preseason poll. They finished 1st. Yale was picked to finish 1st. They finished 2nd. It's a rematch of the 2022 Ivy League Championship game from right here on this turf, and we are ready to go. Draw circle. It's going to be Sophie Whiteway for Princeton against Sky Carasquillo for Yale. A lot of today's matchup. We're ready to go here in the Ivy League Championship game. Sophie Whiteway got a stick on it first. Tigers trying to track it down. Abigail Roberts wasn't able to swallow it up. Ball springs free for a moment. We've got a whistle. And who's it against here? It's going to be against Princeton, it looks like. And the Tigers taking an early green card here. So Yale immediately goes woman up off that scuffle on the first draw.
We can expect a lot of that as the game goes on. I mean, these draws are so key to the outcome of this game, and there's going to be a battle every time. I think the key thing is you just have to be aggressive but controlled. We got to watch those sticks.
The Tigers won the draw battle back in March. They won by a mark of 17-11. That certainly gave them a bit of a leg up as they were able to pull that one out in the fourth quarter. All right, here we go. First offensive set for Yale, and they'll work woman up for a minute. It was a grind for Yale in terms of trying to find their offense. Penn shut them down for large stretches of the game on Friday, but they got it done in the fourth quarter with 2 goals in the final minute. There's a shot by Fallon Vaughn, and Yale is on the board early with the woman up goal, 39 seconds in.
Yeah, I think Princeton has to be really careful with these cards. The cards really hurt them against Brown. Brown was extremely efficient in their power play situations, and now Princeton has just started out in the very first play of the game with a green card. They're going to have to be a lot more in control so they don't go down defensively. It's a nice finish by Yale, a nice look, a nice find inside. She just curls over the shoulder and is able to fire that home.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Tigers took 2 green cards in the first 7 minutes against Brown, and both of them ended up in the back of the net long after that. So we'll see if that's an area they can fix. That's one thing Jen Cook said at halftime is we got to do the simple better. That's what she thought about the first 30 minutes. They definitely did that the rest of the way. Back to the circle we go. Whiteway sprung that one, but Yale had a beat on it, so it's taken on here by Taylor Lane. She scored the game-winning goal with just over 10 seconds left in the semifinal on Friday. And then Yale held on for the last few seconds to punch their ticket to the championship game. Yale, they are the defending Ivy League tournament champions. They won last year. It was an overtime game against Penn. There's a strip by Dylan Allen off Collignon, and the Tigers get the ball back.
And that's the matchup to keep your eye on in this game. Dylan Allen versus Jenna Collignon. They're going to be going at it all day long.
Great clear by Sam Whiting. She's got some room, can step into the middle with the help of Colette Quinn. Now the Tigers, wow, what a great job by Quinn to pick it back up and then firing a shot. A save made by Pfaff. And foul against Princeton. The ball's going to go back to Yale. Tigers tried to push there. There was an opening for a second, but then it kind of closed down a little bit.
Yeah, it always feels good as a goalie when you make that first save. So I'm sure that's feeling pretty good for Neve right now.
We'll keep an eye. Neve Pfaff did not play in the meeting. She played 3-some minutes in that contest. It was Cami Donadio who took the bulk of the net in the game when these two teams met up in March. The Tigers really haven't seen her much this year. We'll keep an eye on that. So third offensive set here for Yale, as Lane will leave it behind for Jenna Collignon, watched by the first-team All-Ivy Leaguer Dylan Allen, who just caused that turnover. Already halfway through the timer here. Nowhere to go for Kelly Holmes. Tara Squillo can't dance her way through Whiting, played behind Cage. Holmes again, revving up against Whiteway. Whiteway slipped by for a second. Down the alley she goes, and she finally drew enough contact. There was a little bit even before that, but it finally comes, and she will go to the 8-meter.
That's a nice offensive set for Yale. Good ball movement, good drives, taking their time, looking for the right opportunity, and drawing the 8-meter.
This is an area Yale excelled at in the last matchup between these two teams. Great take to the net, and a stop by Ganella. 3 position shots in March between these two teams were 9-4 in favor of Yale, and the Tigers have done nice 2 jobs on their last 2 defensive sets.
Yeah, 2 freshman goalies, which is unusual in a championship game, so it's going to be exciting.
We saw a pair of freshman goalies in the contest between Yale and Penn on Friday, and that certainly made for some interesting theater as the Tigers have another clear, and let's see if they can get a little bit more into their process-driven offense now. A lot of offensive weapons for this Princeton group. Whether it's feeders, whether it's finishers, a dual threat blend, and some good secondary options for Jen Cook here in 2025. Here's Nina Montez. Pick up Haven Dora. Aggie Molnar off for Blake. Tough angle, and she skipped it wide.
Interesting, the Tigers have Nina Montez behind the cage. They've got Haven Dora out on the elbow or high, actually. So it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts their offense and what they're looking to set up.
Nina Montez was kind of got the Tigers started in that third quarter. She was a big spark plug, gave them some energy. They got into a bit more of a rhythm after she kind of took over the first few minutes. Blake driving herself and drew enough contact there as she was trying to make her way through. So the all-time greatest scorer in Princeton program history will step to the 8-meter.
Yeah, against the zone, you have to be ready to dodge. You can't just pass around the outside and look inside. And drawing a double team often opens up a lot of good opportunities for you.
Player moved early. That was Molly McGuckin, the senior defender. So Blake will go again, and she missed. And the Tigers will keep it, though, as Jamie McDonald. This is an interesting spot. There's not much time left in the timer. There's a quick stop here because a second ball came on the field. Tigers going to have to move very quickly here. McDonald all by herself, just trying to drive with everything she has, and she sailed it wide. Time is running down, though, and that's it. That is just the fourth shot clock violation for the Tigers all year. That's not something they're accustomed to, and Yale's back on the ball here.
Yeah, they got off a number of shots. They just have to get them on cage.
Good hustle play up the field there by Katie Clare. She was rambunctious in the game on Friday night against Penn, and Yale's back with the ball. Caroline Burt will leave it on back. Yale defensively, they were excellent against Penn. Trying to find an offensive rhythm here in the early going. Vaughn, who's got the game's only goal thus far. Handing off. Hard run by Carasquillo from a tough angle, and she whizzed it way wide as the rain is starting to come down here at Sherritt Field. That'll certainly play a factor as well.
These teams are used to all weather. So long as we don't get lightning, we should be good to go.
Vaughn, one-on-one against the freshman Bai. To the inside. Lane a spinning shot, and she scores.
What a great play for Yale. Fallon Vaughn drives in, draws a lot of attention, finds Taylor Lane cutting to the inside for a nice little feed and finish.
I think it's so impressive just how hard Yale is going to cage. You even saw the drive from Sky beforehand. Really great play.
We'll step aside for a break. Only 2 goals in the contest. Yale leads it in the early going of the Ivy League tournament final.
These Bulldogs are the top dogs. National NCAA Women's Rugby Championship in the Big Green Darkness. That will do it. The Brown Bears and the Lions and Cornell will play a championship Sunday.
At Regeneron, our homegrown technologies and novel scientific approaches focus on serious diseases. And our medicines aim to change lives as we relentlessly pursue more. We know that even the tiniest spark of an idea has the potential for more. We move science to medicine because our world is meant for more.
We're off and running in the Ivy League tournament championship game. Why don't we get to the keys to the game and take a look at both sides here, Coach?
Sure, let's start off with Yale. One of the keys for Yale will be their secondary scoring. The first time out against these two teams, Jenna Collignan had 5 goals. Sky Carasquillo had 2, and no one else on the Yale team had more than 1. So diversifying their scoring, getting more production out of their attackers and middies will be huge. Draw controls also for Yale. First time out, they were on the down end of a 17-11 statistical category in draws, so controlling draws will be key for them.
And why don't we talk about Haven Dora? She's certainly going to be an active piece of this as well. She had 8 points the last time they played going against that Zone D.
She did, and in the last few games, she's been, Princeton has played against a man team, and she's been face guarded, and she hasn't had the ball in her hands. And so against this zone, being able to touch the ball more and get her feeds will be really key to Princeton's offense.
Tigers picking up their first draw of the afternoon. Abigail Roberts, she's been a workhorse in that area, one of the key players for the Tigers in that department. And Princeton looking to break through here and get their first goal of the contest. Haven Dora had a lane for a second, and now she'll pull it on out. Jamie McDonald, that one was high. Has to readjust her goggles and leaves it behind for Montez. Dora across. Blake can step right in down the middle, and she scores. The Tigers, some nice ball movement, and the best player on the field finishing it off.
Well, that's a combination we've sure seen a lot of this year. Haven Dora to Mackenzie Blake. That was a great skip pass, basically all the way across the field. Nearly got tipped by Yale, but Mackenzie's able to corral it, make a move to the cage, and get the Tigers' first goal.
Well, Tigers have now established themselves in the game. Took them a little bit to get going against Brown. That was such a topsy-turvy matchup. Brown jumped out to a 4-goal lead. Tigers cut it to 1 by the second quarter. Brown boosted it right back out to 4 by the end of the first half. Then the Tigers went on an 8-1 run. They had a 3-goal, 4-goal edge. Brown came back, made it a tie game late, and then Princeton won it in the final minute. So the Tigers are certainly prepared for Sunday if they haven't been all season long, just by going through that absolute roller coaster of a game on Friday.
They are. Both of these teams have had to come back numerous times in season. I mean, you look at Yale, a team that's 10th in RPI. They had to beat Cornell in overtime to even make the Ivy League tournament. That just is a testament to the depth and strength of the Ivy League teams this year.
Draws are even now. Tigers have won the last 2, and they've got a chance to tie the game. Yeah, Yale in their game on Friday against Penn were trailing for most of the contest, midway through the first quarter, all the way to the last minute of play, and they pulled it out of the fire thanks to a late goal by Taylor Lane. Tigers looking to knot this thing back up as the rain has come in. Montez pumping. Here's Dora. Quinn faking a little bit. Montez will try the far side. Had some room for a moment. More than halfway through the timer here.
Just a good offensive possession for the Tigers. Good ball movement. Nice cuts inside. They got to keep their heads up. We found some free people inside.
Cross the crease, and that one fell short of Dora. That was what you were talking about a little bit before, Coach. That one was just a little bit too short-armed, and Yale was ready.
Yeah. That's, it's a good pickup by Yale.
Oh, didn't hear a whistle right away, but a Yale player got chopped pretty good there. I think there's going to be a penalty from that, but that was a hard hack. Take one more look at it here. McDonald and then Blake kind of got met up in there. So no harm, no foul, and Yale will start to march forward, holding on to that 1-goal lead. Emmy Pascal, the second-team All-Ivy Leaguer, 31 in Navy. She had a very strong defensive game on Friday night. She'll have the clearance, and the Bulldogs coming again.
Collignon, you see how hard she drives with the ball.
That ball left behind for a moment. Princeton trying to scoop and grab, and they can, and that's an alert play. And those are the types of little plays that matter in a title game like that. Good work by Taylor Lane to keep the play alive.
They do. You got to scrap. These 50-50 balls mean everything.
Ganella stood up on her post there, but Yale sticks with it, and they do get a fresh 60.
Great save. It would have been easy to squeeze that one in, but she made a great save.
Tigers have made some big defensive plays since the first 30 seconds went by. Carasquillo, slide came, nowhere to go. Collignon, Allen hawking her. Here's Lane. Watched by Roberts. Lignan, or Combs rather, running downstairs. Now it's Vaughn. Got a cutter. That's Carasquillo. Ran into traffic, and a good play by Zoe Bai. She got hacked. It's Princeton ball, and the Tigers defense has played really well the last 8 minutes.
Yeah, you're seeing two very different defensive styles here. Princeton in their traditional man-to-man defense, a lot of 1v1 defense, double teams. Yale will be looking to drive one-on-one and to look inside if a double team comes. And then on the other end, you've got Yale in their traditional zone defense. So different ways to attack.
Lane got a good chunk of, or maybe not there. There was a foul call. I'm not sure how much upper body contact there really was there. But Tigers get the benefit. They will go woman up here for a minute. And that'll be big, too. You see the way Yale uses that zone defense. You can get some woman up situations on them Makes it a little easier to find the open player. Dora now, she'll work from behind, given that opportunity. Quinn into the middle. Molnar, one extra pass for Blake. Drops the shoulder. Here's Dora. Yale defense holding well. First 30 here. Blake. Quinn. Whiteway's got some room to step in, and she scores! Sophie Whiteway had enough of a crease, found it, and buried it. We're tied.
That's an excellent move, and that's what you have to do in a man-up situation or against his own defense. When you have that lane, you got to take it hard to goal. They've got to respect your ability to drive, and then that ends up opening up some easier inside looks for you. So great job for Sophie Whiteway. Beautiful shot. Beats Neve high to her stick side.
I think, Chris, I want to talk about the attack a little bit offensively. Princeton is, it's got a little bit more of a pep in their step. Their ball movement looks really good, but they're also sort of making moves to cage. In a previous offense, I might have not even seen Sophie even look for that. So it's awesome that they're kind of edging in, especially on the sides. Even Mackenzie, we expect that, but we're doing it from all over, which is great.
Yeah, and that's what you need when you get to tournament time. You need your whole offense being ready to step up and put that ball in the cage and take the opportunities that are presented.
Sophie Whiteway, 3 years ago in this spot, this was kind of her coming out party as a freshman, as that one is pushed through. Whose ball? Going to be Princeton ball. Another one for Whiteway. She's now picked up the last three, or she's kind of led the charge on the last three. But Coach Sophie Whiteway really came on late in that 2022 season. She was excellent in the last three quarters in the championship game in 2022 against these Yale Bulldogs, and she hasn't stopped since.
She hasn't. She's gotten better every year. She makes a huge difference for the team at that center draw circle and also with her play all over the field. She'll put a goal in. I think she probably averages a little more than one goal a game, and she's great on the calls turnovers. Her back checks, look for those. They're really great.
She had a couple strips in the game on Friday, and yeah, that was her 19th goal of the season, closing in on that 20 mark. As the Tigers back offensively again, Dora. Whiteway, a couple of bobbles, still after it. Has it now and plenty on the timer. Directing a little bit of traffic too. That one kind of got caught between Dora and Molnar there. But Tigers get the benefit. There was some contact on Whiteway there. Looked like on the head perhaps. Heading off there is Bella Saviano.
Yeah, it was just a hard cross check, a hard foul. You can't extend your arms like that and displace an opponent.
So, Sophie Whiteway will step up here, or she's being pushed back. Was certainly away from the 8 meter, so not going to be a free position shot. 33 on the timer. Blake off for McDonald. Here's Montez. Dora. Good communication by the Tigers. A lot of players directing traffic, all areas of the field. As you two said, it was a little bit of a grind in the first half against Brown to find a succinct rhythm. Then they found it, and it was really strong the last 30 minutes. Danger of another shot clock violation here. Boy, that almost went to net by Morrisroe, but it's wide. Tigers had 3 shot clock violations all year. They've got 2 in the first 11-plus minutes here today.
Yeah, Yale's doing a great job on defense. They're taking away some of the easy looks. Tigers have to be ready to attack that zone a little more aggressively.
Yale jumped out to a 2-0 lead. The Tigers have answered back with 2 of their own. There's been some good defensive play along the way as well here, as it's taken on by Carasquillo. And now on for Lane.
There's the matchup that we talked about earlier.
Collignon watching Allen away from ball right now. Holmes peeking out against Molnar. Here it is. Collignon against Allen. On her offhand. Swung it just wide.
All you can do is try and get Jenna Collignon wide to take away a good angle for her. She's so powerful. You're not going to be able to stop her drives to cage, but you want to get her off angle.
In the first half against Brown, the Tigers were sometimes a half step behind or so. There's a nice goal by Sky Carasquillo. just needed some room and whizzed it up high, and Yale's got the lead back at 3-2.
Yeah, a beautiful outside shot. She took the ball inside and beat the Tiger double team. So a hard shot from the outside. See right here, beautiful again. High strong side. A couple of goals so far. High strong side against these goalies.
That is the clean number 40th goal of the season for Sky Carasquillo.
Yeah, Princeton's going to have to be a little quicker on that double team because Yale can rip this ball.
Also, we're seeing this offense just driving from the outside, all across the top. Whether it's Collignon, Vaughn from one side, or Carasquillo coming in there. I think Princeton, you've got a great matchup with Dylan Allen, but there's got to be more defenders to go around.
Yeah, absolutely. Their strategy may be to force inside, though, and send the early double. So we'll see as it develops. They were definitely late on that double team. No doubt about it, Christy.
Carasquillo will take a draw off here. Instead, it'll be Kelly Holmes who will dig in against Sophie Whiteway. Erica Bamford, she's usually proactive. She'll try, if she doesn't see something she likes or a little bit of a trend, she'll try and attack it. And Holmes had a beat on it first. Tigers trying to surround the ball, though, right up against the restraining line. In the feet of Allen. Whiteway using that frame. Couldn't quite gobble it up, and it's taken on by Lane. A hard battle on both sides there.
It sure was. Like a rugby scrum.
Yeah, Yale is so good on that draw tackle back. Whether the other team gets the ball and they're defending really quickly, they got so many advantages on Penn that way. Penn would get the clear draw, and Yale would come back and tackle back. You see this second effort on the defensive end, too.
A few more possessions left here in this first quarter. It has been tight. Yale looking to stretch out their lead again to 2. That's the biggest they've had it all day. Yeah, Tigers defensively in that first half against Brown. They were just a beat or 2 off. Then it got a lot tighter in that second half. Collignon almost had an angle for a moment. A little bit of a double coming on top of her. Carasquillo.
Great one-on-one D there.
Good slide packages, too.
Holmes now away from goal. Vaughn's got a pair of points today. Revving up against Roberts. She'll cut to the inside. It closed quickly. She got popped pretty good. And a whistle comes. Roberts, the guilty party.
Again, another hard cross-check, similar to the one we saw at the other end.
They want to fix the possession clock here. Roberts got her in her biceps there. The officials will talk it out here for a moment, but it looks like a free position shot coming up.
Yeah, we saw Fallon Vaughn out in front there for most of the game on Friday night.
Yep.
And the early part of this game, she was playing behind the cage, quarterbacking a lot behind the cage, rolling the crease a lot. This last possession, she was out in front. So we'll see if they mix up where she plays.
In a shooting position, and that one's fired wide. And the Tigers thought they had their heels on the end line there. Not the case, though. Deep timer now as well. Tigers trying to get a hold and have the last offensive set of the quarter. Collignon got a beat. Allen trying to catch up. That ball batted around. Zoe Bai trying to flag it down, and she did. And the Tigers can have the last possession of the quarter if they want it and a chance to tie.
That's a gutsy ground ball right there and a hard drive. Working this clear.
Bai a little hesitant there and wants to make sure she's got in the hands of the most gifted offensive players, but a tremendous job there by the freshman.
Yeah, that's probably smart. You're a freshman defender. You don't often venture beyond that 30. Put in the hands of your high-scoring attackers.
And the Tigers close the quarter on a good note and knot this baby up going into the second quarter. Whiteway will kill a little bit more clock.
Yeah, they can definitely play for last shot.
Dora, the handoff. Morris Rowe, who had the game winner on Friday. Montez pushed back some. Dora had some room to operate. To the inside. Whiteway's driving a hard bouncer and a save by Pfaff. Yale doesn't have a lot of time to work with here if they want it.
Great save under pressure there. Really important for Yale. They want to go into this quarter up a goal.
Oh, Jane McDonald, she's been close on a few plays off ball. That's the end of the first quarter. It was a good one. Yale led 2-0. Tigers answered back with 2 of their own. Yale got the last goal of the quarter, and that's where we'll stand with 15 minutes in the books. Princeton, Yale, the 1 and 2 seed, going at it for the Ivy League crown. We'll be back right after this. ball. And she said, we've just got to do the simple a lot better. And then the third quarter came and happened. They scored 8 goals. They took care of the ball. They allowed 1, and that gave them enough cushion to finish it out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Brown, they are a dynamic team. Katrina Dowd's done an excellent job with them. I'm really hoping that tonight they're going to hear their name called for an at-large bid to the NCAAs. They have some talent, and they're extremely well coached, and I'd love to see them make that tournament.
We even saw Harvard, who missed the Ivy tournament. They finished in the most recent polls the number 25 team. It's highly unlikely they're going to a tournament. What a year, though. A lot of depth in the Ivy League. Tigers changing up some things. We're ready to go here now in this quarter, and it is Jenna Kalignan who's going to get a look in the circle here against Sophie Whiteway. So Erica Bamford keeps switching it up. Things to think about.
This doesn't surprise me. Kalignan is often on the draw circle against Princeton. She's all power on this draw circle, so you can expect the ball to go a little further than it normally might. Oh, nope, she puts it to herself. Look at that.
And already on the move.
Corrected.
There you go. Anything can happen in the Ivy League tournament, and Yale's back on the ball here, looking to build that lead back up to 2. These teams met up in March. It was razor tight. Yale led by 1 after a quarter. It was tied at half. Princeton led by 3 after 3, and they won by 2. Lane had some room for a moment, and Ganella ready for the challenge.
Yeah, she really tracked that shot well. Really nice save. You see her step into it well. She's doing a great job.
Both keepers at 50% thus far, so that's leveled the playing field.
Yeah, for Ganella, it's her first start in the Ivy League championship game.
She was great. She was 9 of 17 on Friday night, coming in relief, coming in cold. And she was ready for the challenge. She looked like a senior out there at times.
She did. She had an excellent game, and that really helped Princeton work their way back into it.
So here come the Tigers looking for the equalizer again. Sophie Whiteway's already on the board today. Mackenzie Blake, the all-time leading program scorer in Princeton history. Jamie McDonald's, good handle by Montez. Past the halfway point of the timer here. Morris Rowe off for Montez. Tigers cutting and sliding and moving around. So is Yale. Not a whole lot of space. Blake to the interior. Morris Rowe wasn't in the shooting position she wanted, but she sticks with it.
Really nice collapse by Yale.
Whiteway, a good take to the inside. Maybe not as much velo as she would have liked on that shot, and a nice save by Pfaff.
Whiteway's getting a lot of shots off in this offense today. I think Yale's doing a fantastic job of collapsing hard on any feeds or drives to the middle. They're making life very difficult for the Tigers right now.
3 of 5 for Neve Pfaff. Yale did a great job not allowing a lot of shots against her through the first 2-3 quarters, and then she got better as the game went along. At one point, she had allowed 6 on 8 shots, but it got better from there. Here's a good drive, and it's fired wide by Vaughn. They'll push Yale to the corner to pick that ball up. That's Kelly Holmes, the freshman attack. She had an active role in the game on Friday.
She did. We talk often about Yale's senior class, 16 seniors, a double class after the COVID year. The 8 of their would have been incoming freshmen took the year off, so now they have 16 in that class, but they've got a couple of key freshmen who are making a difference for them too.
Kalignan, a strong, sharp bouncer there. It beats Ganella, and Yale's got their 2-goal lead back. Jenna Kalignan is on the board.
Well, you see, looking at Dylan Allen's approach angle, it looks like their intent is to force her inside here. But if that is the case, Princeton's going to have to be much quicker with their double team, because Kalignan's just going to drop that shoulder and go hard to cage. And again, she can rifle it from the outside.
Chris, when you're prepping as a coach for a player like Kalignan to come in like that, and speaking of it, they have Val and Vaughn as well. What's a practice prep look like on that? Who on Princeton is playing that role?
That's tough because, you know, if you had someone, maybe I might say, well, Jamie's a lefty, like their hardest dodger.
Nina, maybe.
Maybe Nina. Nina, actually, you're right. Nina would probably be doing that, although she's a very different body type. but she can dodge hard. The thing about trying to prep for a kid like Jenna Collignon, if you had a kid like Jenna Collignon, she'd probably be on the field. You know what I mean? So it's she is a rare specimen with her size and her strength, and you do the best you can to replicate that with the personnel that you have. But you just have to be ready to, to perform in the moment.
She's back in the circle, and she's in a little bit of a groove. She's won 2 rather cleanly here to start this quarter, and Yale can stretch it out to their biggest lead of the game.
Yeah, I believe she's actually their draw control leader for Yale. So she's a good one.
66 coming into the game. Lane with 59, and Carasquillo, who was so dominant last time we saw her in a big game on this field. She is third. Here is Collignon against Allen. 30 gone by on the shot clock. Launched out wide for Holmes. Holmes going one-on-one. Got a beat to the inside and a save by Ganell, and she'll gobble up the rebound.
That's a great save. Princeton's trying to force to the middle now, get the double team. I think they need to come a little bit earlier, but if they can keep taking, giving those outside shots, they think their goalie's going to be able to make the save. We'll see how it goes.
Bit of a run there for Ganella. She didn't have a lot of support in those first 20 seconds. The Tigers going to have to, a lot of the shot clock's going to be spent on the clearance. And they'll have about a minute now to get something off.
Yeah, Yale was really doing a good job of isolating, like making those slides long for Princeton. And that's why the double teams seem a little late, because they're coming from a distance. Let's see what the Tigers can put together now.
Tigers, been about 10 minutes since they've scored. 5.5 minutes in the first quarter remaining. It was Whiteway. McDonald's got an angle, and Pfaff made the save again. She has been good.
2 freshman goalies coming up big. Gotta love it.
She has stopped 4 of 6 thus far, and that's given Yale a chance to open this up a little bit.
Okay, we got a 5v4 fast break. Let's see if they can execute.
Tigers coming back. Quinn sprung it free, but she did so illegally.
Unlucky. That was such great recovery, such great defense from the Tigers to get back and break that up. Leaving only an 8-meter free position. At 12-meter. Look.
Yale was whipping that ball around. The Tigers nearly tracked it down for a strip.
Yeah,
Vaughn left it behind. Good play by Bai, and she's on it. Trying to officially corral it, though. She is tangled up good. She finally gets some help. It's Sam Whiting, the senior, who came away with it.
What scrappy play. Impressive. Zoe Bai and Fallon Vaughn. You can tell how much they each want that ball out there. They know that every 50-50 ball is so important in a game like this.
Boy, the Tigers sideline furious at the officials, wanting somewhere during that sequence, whether it was Bai or Roberts, they wanted a foul somewhere in there and never came.
Well, I'd have to agree with them, actually. It looked like there would be a call.
It was a long ride up the field there, and no call came as the Tigers set up shop offensively. Here's Maggie Molnar.
Okay, now we have Haven Dora back at her normal spot behind the cage.
Chad Morris row. There was a lot of traffic and sticks, though, and it's actually Pfaff who picked it off. Tigers, 4 turnovers here in the first 20-some minutes.
It looks a little bit like they're rushing that shot. It's getting a little congested, and they're taking it from that bottom area. I'd love to see them pass around, get some outside work, and so they get more opportunities to let the middle breathe and get some opportunities to get people in there.
Yeah, I agree, Christy. I think they have to. Well, they've had some lengthy possessions where they haven't been able to score, although they've gotten good shots off. So you just have to be patient. You have to see that defense. Things that might look open actually aren't open by the time the pass gets there, and you have to be aware of that.
It was a hot handle there by Collignon. She stuck with it, though. She's got the ball. Here's Holmes. Driving wide. Vaughn operating behind the cage. Bai comes and checks her.
Bai's just become so good, so consistent, so strong.
Collignon a good dance and drew enough contact. She'll go to the 8-meter.
As you can see, when she gets going, she is hard to put a body on.
Fast and strong.
What a combination, right, Christy? Reminds me of somebody.
Ooh, number 29 from 1999.
That's right.
Third free position shot coming up for Yale, and that one squeezed in. And Yale's got their biggest lead of the day at 3.
Nice shot off the 8-meter. There was
First game, and that was a grind defensively with some clutch moments.
It was, but I have to say, I give so much credit to Coach Erica Bamford. Her timeouts were on point.
Yeah.
She called those two and set those 2 plays up that we just saw, and the Yale team executed. There's nothing you like better than as a coach, than when you draw it up on the whiteboard and your kids go in, execute it, and put the ball in the back of the cage.
They were clutch with their execution on Friday night. They've been rather clutch to start this one as well. They've got 9 shots on goal. They've scored on 5 of them, and they are cooking. Tigers have gone 13 minutes without a goal. Looking to reestablish themselves here on their home turf.
Yeah, lacrosse is a game of runs. At this point, you just can't get too upset about the fact that you're down 3. You have to keep working. You have to keep finding different ways to exploit this Yale zone defense. And I'm confident that Princeton will be able, to score and get this game, tied up again. But they've got to make some changes and I think be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end.
There has been basically no games this year where the Tigers didn't get better in the second half and do whatever they needed to. Again, they only lost 2 games all year long. First loss, one of the losses was the first game of the season. They were close to flawless after that the rest of the way. And Yale's got the ball here.
I think that's a large part. Like it's so competitive. Chris, you talked about the parity in the opening of all these teams. You have to see what you're getting, see what the options are, and chip away at the places where you can take advantage.
You really do.
Kalignan's got the last 2 goals. Feeling her oats, trying to move around a little bit. Plays to the goal line.
You see Princeton looking to slide a little earlier now, which is a good adjustment for them.
Vaughn, Kalignan got caught in some traffic there as Allen was trying to find someone to mark.
Yale is just so heads up. They see those doubles coming, and they're ready to pass off.
Nice job by Zoe Bai, giving everything she could handle there to Vaughn, and Vaughn flipped it wide.
Just so impressed with her this year, what she's been able to do as a freshman defender.
Bai's got 2 caused turnovers and a ground ball already in the early going. Kalignan trying to drive, has to hand it off. Deep timer here for Yale. Lane lets it go. Ganella made the stop, and the Tigers, great all-around defensive effort on that set.
Kind of similar to the game-winning goal last night, in that Kalignan and Taylor Lane were kind of setting up a top 2v2. One was either going to drive or dish off to the other. There you saw Taylor Lane taking it from a different angle, but same kind of look.
They're closing in on 15 minutes of game time without a Tiger goal.
They got to keep their heads up to the middle.
Here's Colette Quinn. There's Sophie Whiteway. She scored the last Tiger goal back in that first quarter. Blake got caught. Loose ball. Blake trying to work to get it back, and the Tigers didn't have the inside position. Boy, Tigers, you haven't seen many plays like that in a long time. Way away from goal like that where they get caught.
Just a heads-up play by Yale on defense. I mean, you can't be casual in a game like this. You can't be casual about anything. So you see Yale just looking to take advantage of that. Every Princeton player has to move to the ball, even if they think they have space.
It's one of, I think, Yale's superpowers. They really look for those opportunities.
Caused so many turnovers during the season. They caused 140 coming into today. Their opponents only 90, so they have dominated that area of the game for sure. Looking to capitalize on it here. Already time ticking down already here in this first half. Carrasquillo can't get to a good angle. Then fires and scores! Just inside the post, and Yale's up by 4.
Wow, how did she get that ball off? Just when you thought, okay, she's got no angle, she's going to take that ball behind. She rips it with her left hand, the outside shot. Finds just the sliverest of angles, puts it right in the low weak side corner. Beautiful, beautiful shot.
That's her second drive from the top. I mean, the Lotto 1v1 effort there. She is really working the defender there with an extremely beautifully placed shot.
Yale has played great thus far. Tigers in a similar spot to where they were on Friday. They were down 6-2 in that one. They're down 6-2 in this one.
I think Yale's getting a lot of really interesting looks offensively, where Princeton is sort of a little, not slow, but stagnant on their drives. Yale is passing it around powerfully on the outside. They're looking on the inside. They have, like you said, Chris, their heads are up. They're ready to pass, but they're doing it on the drive.
Yeah. They are really moving the ball well, and they're moving off ball well. So they're creating a lot of good space for the one-on-one dodges. They're making it really hard for Princeton to get easy slides. The slides are long. They have more time to work their one-on-ones, and it's working in their favor right now.
Whiteway, and the Tigers needed that. She got dumped pretty good there. Again, the offensive process has been rather in rhythm by Yale. The Tigers have looked perhaps hesitant at times, and before that, all 3 draws went to Yale, and that kind of stacks up to the Bulldogs stretching out their lead to 4. Tigers going to go woman up here, though.
Yeah, that'll be a 1-minute green card for Fallon Vaughn. When you foul in between the 30s, you get that 1-minute player down penalty.
Sorry, Jeff. I was going to say Princeton's done a good job throughout the season of, if they're at a draw disadvantage, to chip away at that and sort of improve that, and that has helped them win in games where they have been down.
It has. It was key last night. I mean, it really was. It turned the tide for them. They were crashing so hard on those draws, just trying to get a stick, even if Brown came up with it, trying to dislodge that ball and just really pursue it. They tend to be very, very good at that.
Calkins, what a save by Pfaff, down on her knees, and the rebound loose and picked up by Bella Saviano.
That was an insane save. As I'm on Lane's level here, and it was a beautiful pull, an incredible hold, and she really ripped that into the place she should have. Oh, wow, what a save.
Pfaff has been great. There's been some really good opportunities she has shut down. She has made 5 of 7 stops today.
Yeah, she's been phenomenal in there.
We're back to even strength, too, and that was a situation, again, until the Tigers find a bit of a rhythm, even strength. That was kind of one they needed there, and now they're going to have to defend again.
Yeah, and you can see, even with that feed into Lane, she looked wide open, and as soon as she catches the ball, 2 Yale defenders converge, take away an easy shot look for her. It was a difficult shot to get off, and a great save by Neve Pfaff.
Well, Yale has played to their defensive identity, but they have certainly maybe overachieved maybe offensively to what they're used to. On track for 12-plus goals in this one. Calignan got bumped cleanly by Allen. Ball came free for a moment.
It is not a small feat what Dylan Allen is doing, taking a player like that at speed.
Carrasquillo got a step and maneuvered that stick around to a great shooting spot. It's 7-2 Yale.
See some themes here with Carrasquillo taking that hard drive. What an incredible move.
Really, she's just able to get underneath Sam Whiting. She works her way underneath. The double comes, but again, just a step too late. She gets that shot off. Boy, she has making a difference for them.
She's making the difference. And as the last drive, she sort of like drove with her right, switched to the left on that crazy low angle shot. That was a drive with the left, switched to the right.
Yeah, she's really showcasing quite the offensive talents that she has in this game.
She's 5'11", so to be that agile, that skill, to move that body, it really, with all that power, all that speed, that's a tough match.
A 5-0 run for Yale, and Jen Cook has burned her first time out. There's a penalty up on the board as well right now, so it looks like the Tigers might be woman down, and they got to try and keep this in check here and not let it get away from them.
Yeah, that's a 2-minute penalty. You see the opponent that they're going to face, and Erica, the job that she's done transforming this Yale program has been tremendous as well.
4 straight Ivy League tournament final games for Erica Bamford and Jen Cook's crew trying to get back into it. We got some time here. Can you give us the summary of how you got Jen Cook to come here as an assistant and then associate in 2013?
Well, it's funny because we had an open position, and Gary Becker gave me a call one day and said, hey, what about Jen Cook? I'm like, I'd love to talk to Jen Cook, but she hasn't applied. He's like, I'll get on the phone because Jen Cook's brother is married to Rachel Becker's sister. So there's the family connection. So Jen was the last person I interviewed. And, within the first 20 minutes of the interview, maybe even 10, I knew that she was the one we had to have. So it was just so great to have her here. I worked with her for a decade. She's a phenomenal person, mentor, leader, coach. I'm so happy that she took over after me. And I want to give a shout out. Colleen Smith on Yale staff also
Great
played for the
for Yale.
Tigers. Great defender. Graduated in 2014. Had a great career with the Tigers as well. So it's pretty cool to see this group of coaches out here.
Jen got to work with her for a little bit on your defensive unit there.
She did. She did for a couple of years.
So the Tigers now down a woman for the maximum amount of time, trying to keep this right where it is and get to the room at halftime, but they're going to have to deal with an 8-meter coming up here. Taylor Lane's going to step to the line. 35 on the timer.
Again, that's great ball movement by Yale, drawing the double, passing off, then drawing the shooting space. It's a classic look.
And that one rattles home. And Yale is on fire. They've scored 6 straight goals here on the road.
They've been having success with these low shots. Here we're going to see Taylor Lane coming hard off that line. And look for that low shot against Ganella.
Sold high, shot between the legs.
Yep, right through that 5-hole.
It's a hot hash today.
It is.
Tigers are down 6. They've given up the last 6 goals. They have gone over 18 minutes without a goal of their own.
Okay, so how do you change this? It starts with the little things, as Jen said yesterday, right? You got to start winning the draw. You can't have, undisciplined cards. You can't take any possessions off on offense. You have to do those little things right. You just got to chip away at it, a play at a time. You got to stay confident. You got to believe in yourself and make the little changes that you see on the field. There's you go.
Whiteway, and that's a start for Princeton.
I always say when Princeton needs to do the little things, Sophie Whiteway is often the one kicking it off.
She's the initial part of that chain link, if you will, and Princeton looking for somebody to step up and score a goal here. Again, it's been over 18 minutes, but
with that 18-minute lull, you can't have the gravity of it be so big. It has to be just another possession that they practice, that they've gone against. So you can't take it can't be more heavy than any other one.
Colette Quinn now. There's Jamie McDonald's. Dora's got some cutters coming. And what do we have? Whistle against Yale. So Dora will get a head start.
You see, anytime Dora is behind goal, they're going to pressure her. They didn't pressure Penn so much behind goal yesterday, but they're pressuring Haven. They often will send a double to her. They want to get the ball out of her hands.
I mean, she had 4 goals, 4 assists last time.
Yeah.
She was a troublemaker there.
She was. And they were pressuring her like this last time, too.
McDonald and Dora playing catch. Over the top, Blake.
Oh, I thought that might be a foul there.
It's a lot of contact. Looked like near her goggles. Oh, and she almost took the ball back. And Yale's got the ball, and they don't have to take too many chances here if they don't want to. No, they've got daylight in front of them. This one's pushed forward. Yale not slowing down, and because of that, they turned it over. Dylan Allen's got the ball.
What a great stop by Sam Whiting. Perfect.
Can they take advantage and get the crowd fired up here a little bit? McDonald headed downhill to the net. Shoots, scores, and the crowd erupts for that one. What a clutch goal by the Tigers. Still a long ways to go, but that felt big.
It is big. It started with Sam Whiting making a great slide, getting a good stop. Ball came out. Princeton was able to come up with it. What a fast break. Great decision by Jamie. They weren't collapsing on her to keep that ball. Fired it home.
And for Yale, a rare mistake thus far. They maybe tried to play a little too quick there when they had a big lead. They had some numbers. They wanted to go with it. A little bit of an unforced turnover, and then Dylan Allen turned it up the other way. Won't get an assist for it, but she made that play happen as Jane McDonald nets her 49th of the season.
Those plays are so fun in games like this, right? The half is going to cut off some of the momentum there, but that's what Princeton's got to go to do. Come out of the half with that same energy.
They do. And potentially a 2-goal turnaround, right? Shutting them down at that end and scoring one on their own.
Off the draw, whistle against Princeton. Tigers have to defend here. Meg Morris rose on it, perhaps, and time's going to run out with the ball in the midfield here. And that's going to do it. Boy, it was a 2-0 Yale lead. Then it was 2-2. Then they rattled off 6 straight. The Tigers get the last word here in the second quarter, and there is a lot of work to do. We're going to hang here for just one moment. We're going to have Erica Bamford join us and talk about things here. And Krista is going to interview her when things clear here. But boy, what an...
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of energy on that sideline right now, and Princeton's got to bring that on their sideline as well, right? It's going to take a lot of intensity in there from them.
Coach, what would be your message in the going into that room at halftime? You know, being down by 5. Actually, we'll check in with Jen Cook right now, who's down with Krista. Krista?
Coach, tough first half. You're down by a little bit. Tell me what adjustments you're making coming into the second half.
We talked about offensively holding space and sharing the ball better. And for us, it's really about executing our defensive systems.
At last game, you were coming out with the simple things. Very focused on that?
Yep, absolutely. Do the simple at a high level. Follow a good with a good.
Awesome. Crush it, Coach. You got it. Thank you.
That's Jen Cook, whose group is looking to clean some things up here to start the second half, and certainly sharing the ball seems like one. And trying to move that defense around, have a little bit more conviction in their game offensively.
Yeah, Princeton just haven't yet played with their usual offensive flow. They've looked a little bit out of sorts. I like seeing Haven Dorr now behind Cage because she's such a great feeder back there. You know, Sophie Whiteway's gotten a lot of shots. Lane Calkins had a shot in there. The Tigers have to be able to put these shots away. Yale's making it difficult, but they've got to challenge the zone more. They've got to be willing to attack that zone and then pass off and then hit the open kids inside. So we'll see how it develops.
Tigers only had 8 shots on goal and only converted 3 of them. So they've certainly got to get better looks, more looks, and when you do get them, finish and see where that leaves you. It's a big hill to climb for the Princeton Tigers, down by 5, and for the Yale University Bulldogs, looking to go back-to-back championships in the Ivy League tournament.
Yeah, and that 8 shots is well below Princeton's average and a half. So they have the ability to turn it around. Yale's going to work really hard to make sure they keep the momentum, but we'll see how the game develops.
8 draw controls already for Yale. Jenna Kalignan's got 4 of them herself. What a change by Erica Bamford during that second quarter to try and switch the vibe up a little bit and keep her team moving on. And they got the ball here to open up this third quarter. Tigers were down 4 to Brown at halftime yesterday. 5 will be a challenge today.
I think particularly a challenge against this Yale team who's shown up everywhere.
They limited Penn greatly on Friday night, allowed just 10 goals. And they've played even better defensively here today. And the goalkeeper, Pfaff, has been great. Holmes, tough angle. Whiteway pushes her wide enough.
I think you can also see the big senior class, a mega senior class really playing in here.
They were the young upstarts in 2022. A ton of talented freshmen that pushed the Tigers to their limits in that first half before Princeton pulled away. And they've been back ever since in the finals. Feed to the inside, and that one just fought off there by Ganella, and she held it.
Yeah, it looked like she got a piece of that. What a great save. Really nice look inside there.
Oh, Tigers almost coughed that one up. And that was Vaughn who got the feed on the inside. Dylan Allen's going to take this across. So the Tigers didn't get the draw to start, but they get the hold they needed. And now it's about picking away at that 5-goal deficit. Who's going to step up? The player with the ball right now, Nina Montez. She got the Tigers started in that third quarter against Brown on Friday. She was a spark and gave the Tigers some momentum and confidence to find their game. And Calkins will swing it. No, it's cut off.
Yale does a really good job at that. They pick off a lot of those passes. Their sticks are in the passing lane. You know, Princeton's got to be aware of that. That's too easy giving that ball away to Yale.
You know, there was a big stretch by Katie Clare in the game against Penn behind the cage that really allowed them to kind of come down and have Taylor Lane like get that goal. The defenders' sticks are there, and they do such a good job of like stretching, getting in that passing lane, like you just said.
They really do. That play by Katie Clare the other night was so amazing. I mean, she fully stretched out. That gave their team a chance to win. I'm sure that'll be a highlight of her career.
I know. I looked down thinking she's going to be 6'3". She's 5'5". Maybe she's 5'3". Yeah, 5'3".
6 caused turnovers for Yale thus far. They have been excellent defensively. Here's a lane that opened up for a moment for Taylor Lane. Now Carasquillo with a bunch of goals, and she fired it high.
These drives coming from the top, one after the other. I mean, when the defense has to send a slide, it's like having to reverse and go back out again, reorganize. They are really doing a number on the Tiger D here.
Lignan, Sam Whiting's going to give her a handful. That one bounced across. Vaughn against Bai. Vaughn into traffic. Didn't get a lot on it. And an offensive foul. Well, the Tigers have stiffened up here on the first 2 sets. Need something to start going for them offensively.
They're charged down here on the sideline, I can tell you that.
They haven't strung together a lot of good plays here in the first half. There's opportunity out there as Mackenzie Blake's on the ball now for Princeton.
I mean, I can speak from being an attacker. When the defense stops or comes up with a big play like that, it just folds right over through the midfield into your attacking end.
Montez. Hawkins. To the doorstep, McDonald. Ooh, hot pass. Dora picked it off the turf. McDonald's in her office. Tough handle. Molnar fired it wide.
Good play. Good option.
Really good option. Princeton's going to need to put these shots away, though, in order to chip into this deficit.
Trying to loosen up that interior of Yale. McDonald's good poise off for Montez. Yellow card came out. Now they'll give it to Princeton.
There's a pep in the step here.
Yep.
Like there's a little bit more grit and grind in this Princeton attack. So it's like they're looking to go while they're playmaking and seeing what the options are.
Here's Nina Montez. She scored the first goal of the third quarter against Brown. And she'll start it off here, and the Tigers trying to replicate what they did on Friday night. They're right back in it.
She is money off of that 8 meters, especially that center hash. You wondered some teams might pull that out, but the Tigers have had their trouble against Yale zone. I think that was a good choice to give it to Nina and have her go right to cage. She's got an explosive first step and a rocket shot.
Hey, Chris, how much in the zone when you're having the trouble with it, are you just trying to get the ball in there and hope they tell you so you get on that 8 meter?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way you're going to score, right? Princeton's very good at 8 meter shooting. So if they can draw those kind of fouls and get shooting space, that'll give them a good opportunity to get in there and chip away.
Tigers trying to attack that defense. They didn't give up many good looks at all in that first half. The Tigers, just on that set alone there was some better movement. There was opportunity. Molnar just missed. They drew a foul. So trying to at least start to make some gains in that area.
I think there's so many superstars, right? We highlighted Kalignan and Blake, and they are superstars. But there's been role players that have done such a great job. They're scaffolding the efforts of all 4 teams in this Ivy League championship. Right there with Montez.
There are a bunch of Tigers closing in on 20 goals. There have been support players who have stepped up when called upon throughout the year for Jen Cook. To the circle we go.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'd love to see Princeton's big 3 get going in this game, right? They got 78, 76, and 74 points, and the Tigers are going to need to get more production from those 3.
Well, you know, the game against Brown for Princeton, it's like Mackenzie Blake I just made a decision.
She did. You're right.
And with a player that's skilled, that's potent, that's such a leader who sees the field so well, sometimes a decision, it's like, make it now.
Yeah.
So Sophie Whiteway is off. There was a green card pulled out there right off the draw. So the Tigers are going to play woman down. And Yale, who's been stymied on their first 2 offensive sets here to start this quarter. Opportunity with an extra player on the field. Vaughn out wide. Carasquillo hands off for Lane. Holmes now.
Yale doing such a great job with this ball movement. They're just getting them circled up, tired, skip passing, seeing the backside opportunities.
Holmes
That was a good look. Yeah, I thought she might feed that inside. They're being very, very patient.
That's a high pass. Good handle by Collignon. Player open behind the cage for a moment. That was Ashley Newman. Very disciplined from Yale here and from Princeton. Vaughn. We're back to evens. Can the Tigers rally to the ball now? Player open on the back door. Never quite got there, but there was a whistle on the inside. Boy, who was that? Ashley Newman, who was wide open there across the crease, and the Tigers collapsed, but they did so legally.
Tigers did a great job of denying Yale on that extra man opportunity.
Caroline Burt, who scored the first goal of the game for Yale on Friday. A little slow to react there. I'm not sure she was taking it anyway. And now here come the Bulldogs deep into the timer here. Big, big spot for both sides.
You can see Princeton sending those doubles much more quickly in this second half, but they've got to adjust.
There's a play to the middle. Did the whistle come before the goal?
Wow, that was a thing of beauty, though.
Yeah.
Whether or not it counted, Yale's ball movement and then that interior feed, just phenomenal offensive play.
That's got to be a set play. I mean, that was so beautifully executed. Incredible turnaround shot.
Lane will step up to the 8-meter. There is 7 seconds on the timer. And Ganella holds that one off the line.
Huge stop for Ganella. Huge stop for Princeton.
Yeah, I think Ganella knows they're shooting low on her. That's where they've been going most of the game. So she seems like she's much more ready for that in this quarter.
The Tigers have built some momentum. They've got the game's last 2 goals. They've come up with 3 defensive stops here to start this third quarter. They can cut it to 3 right here. They gave up 6 straight goals in that second quarter. Answered back in the final 15 seconds off a great defensive play by Dylan Allen, and they've got a tiny bit of momentum to build on here. Dora now for Princeton. Calkins will feed it across. Blake to McDonald's. Halfway through this shot clock, Jamie McDonald, the junior from Ontario. Driving, and a save by Pfaff. Got that with her cleat, it looked like. Bodies crash. That's going to be a whistle against Princeton, and it's Yale ball. Niamh Pfaff has been excellent today.
She has, once again, making spectacular save after spectacular save.
Tigers have not seen her this year, and during the test today, she's gotten the better of them. She has stopped 6 of 10.
I think she's seeing some repeat attempts too. You know, like I think Princeton's got to do a better job of giving some more texture to the offensive opportunities they're getting, they're looking for to get Yale on its heels, especially Niamh.
Yale, their fourth offensive set of the quarter. They've been shut out thus far. Lane. That nearly got coughed up. Still on the ground for a second and recovered. Collignon. She hasn't touched the ball a lot here in this quarter. Now she will. And Ganella stopped that one. 4 straight stops by the Tiger defense. They turn it into a goal. It'll really get the crowd going here.
The thing is, it's going to take at least that, right? The Princeton defense stopping Yale on the attempts that they make, and now they've got to convert at this end.
Roberts blew a tire and lost the ball. Saw some space, wanted to take a little bit extra, and couldn't hold on to it.
Oh, that would have been a great opportunity for the Tigers in transition. It's a shame.
Past the midway part, and Erica Bamford feeling like the game's not quite going her way. Still a 4-goal lead, but unsurprising. We'll talk about the timeout when we come back. We'll step aside for a break. Just 1 goal in this quarter thus far. It's Princeton's way. It's a 4-goal game in favor of Yale. We'll step aside. We'll be back right after this on the Ivy League on ESPN.
Got to sight the cage better. They got to give her more. You know, they just can't throw the ball to the cage. I also want to see Mackenzie Blake get going, and let's see that connection from Haven to Mackenzie that we just saw in that replay. So the Tigers can definitely get back in this game. 4 goals is nothing in the game of lacrosse, especially when you're in the third quarter. So there's plenty of time, but there's not a moment to waste.
And, Coach, you talked about off there, we were talking about Erica Bamford's timeouts at the end of the game against Penn. Seemed like a great timeout here. Again, not in trouble on the scoreboard or anything, but just maybe doesn't like the way the back and forth is going, so settle it down and start a reset.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move on their part.
So Yale, after a call timeout to try and settle things down, again, not in a bad spot, just didn't like the way everything was kind of going, so they want to slow it down, get back into control of this game like they were for basically that entire second quarter.
I'll be interested to see if they change up their shots. They've been shooting low against Liz Ganello. I'll be interested to see if they change that up and give her some high looks now, because she's really reading those and I think anticipating them well.
And Ganello's made a bunch of stops here in this quarter. Tigers only one goal to show for it on the offensive end. Great move by Vaughn to the net. Never let it go. Ganello was ready to drop down. Carrasquillo, tough angle, and it lands in the net.
We've seen that before. I feel like she's done that all day, taking the ball down the left lane and able to find just a little piece of real estate in that goal along the opposite side. Fantastic day so far from Sky Carrasquillo, really making a huge difference for Yale with those dodges, change of direction, and beautiful finishes right to the opposite low corner.
But, you know, from that angle, you can see it. It's like a setting up a long drive isolation. So there's not a lot of help there. There's no help there. And it's a great opportunity for Yale. Again, it's the same goal we've seen Sky go for. But typically in the last couple, there's been some helping slides around. So Yale's just pulling everybody away.
That actually went off the cleat of Ganello. They shot low on her again. I thought it was to the far side as well. It went off her boot, though. And
it did.
So both teams have a goal in this quarter. After the Tigers have played very well defensively, but not able to make any inroads on the scoreboard just yet. Kalignan's been good. Tigers have made a change here. Colette Quinn's going to get a run. Try and shake it up. And Kalignan's been really clean today. Another one for Yale. And a good march ahead there by Emmy Pascal.
To be as strong as she is, and then to have those quick hands, she's the full package, that kid.
She really is. And if she's getting that draw to herself, you know, like she can anticipate that. Princeton's done a nice job, though, of just, again, I said this before, but really trying to mix it up in the draw so they can get it out to a 50-50 battle.
Yeah.
Yale, their biggest lead has been 5. It's where it sits currently. Their 4th straight Ivy League championship game. They fell here at Princeton in 2022. Lost in overtime to Penn at Penn in 23. And finally winning last year in overtime. That ball's available for a second. Good recovery by Holmes. Holmes and Whiting sprinting to the end line. Vaughn revving up. Got by, beat for a second. Good help came from Allen, though, and then by couldn't pick it up. Tigers need that ball. And Abigail Roberts has got the inside position. Tigers have held really, really well today. They've made a ton of stops in this quarter. They need something offensively.
They really do. And, you know, when that ball's on the ground, it's no surprise to me that Abby Roberts is the one who comes out with it. She is one gritty kid.
Too hard of a pass there for Allen. Ball rattling around. It's going to land in the crease. And the Tigers, there's been a few of those today. Some unforced, unnecessary turnovers. And Yale's got the ball again.
Yeah, we've had the last 2 great transition looks for Princeton have been thwarted by some bad passes, some knockdowns by Yale. Princeton's going to have to be a lot sharper in order to cut into this lead.
Tigers have 9 turnovers, and for them, that's a pretty big number with 18-plus minutes to go in the game.
It is, and they're playing a lot of defense, you know, and that can wear a team down over time. So that ball has hardly been in the attack at all this quarter. So they're going to need to get that ball down there and set up and actually give this defense a little bit of a break. You see right now that Sky is being face guarded right now on the far side. So they're trying to take her out of the play, which will create a little more space for the Yale attack. It's a 6v6 now instead of a 7v7.
So a lot more space out there, if you will, as Kalignan's driving, shooting and scoring. Jenna Kalignan. Hadn't heard from her in a little bit. We finally do, in the biggest lead of the game now for Yale. It is at 6.
Yeah, you give Kalignan some space. She's able to take it hard on that drive. I think Princeton has to do a better job of getting a better body on her, getting a bump on her. You can't let her run right past you. Dylan's got to make a stop on her and get on her sooner to slow her down a little bit. Collignon comes in like a freight train coming at you, and just so strong and powerful.
You could see Dylan, man, that's got to be frustrating. But the power that she comes in with, it's really remarkable. You can see her do it again and again and still be awestruck.
Jenna Collignon has done a really nice job in the circle. She's been a menace offensively. She's got 3 goals today, 6 draw controls. Play an excellent blended game. Yale, their biggest lead now at 6. They've got the last 2 goals. Sophie Whiteway is back on the circle for Princeton. Somebody jumped early. The officials said it's on them, so we'll do it straight up again.
I'm just going to go back to what I said earlier. Yale had to beat Cornell to come back. I think they were 5 goals down to win in overtime in order to even make this Ivy League tournament in their last game of the season. And here they are in the championship with a 6-goal lead in the 3rd quarter.
Adversity battle. Again, they were the overwhelming #1 preseason favorite. They got 13 of the 16 first-place votes. They had 2 losses in the Ivies before we even got to April. And as you just mentioned, it got a little dicey even at the end. But since then, they have rattled off 6 straight victories, including the one last night. And really, since the 2nd quarter started, they have been excellent here today. Won a few games in the NCAA tournament last year. And this has been an impressive performance, really at both ends of the field. We knew Yale was going to play well defensively. That's not a surprise, but for them to pour in 10 goals already before we finish the 3rd quarter, that's a big, big number for them.
It's surprising that it's a big number, right? They have so much offensive power.
There are 4 30-plus goal scorers on this team. 3 of those 4 have 40 or more. But it's been a defensive-minded team this year. Collignon. Allen rode her enough that they called it, and Allen a little surprised by it at that.
I think they actually got Abby Roberts for shooting space. She's going to have to go behind. She was defending down low.
That was a beautiful defensive hold by Dylan.
Yeah.
Free position shots are 5-2 for Yale. Collignon scores again, and Yale pulling away. They're up by 7.
You know, when you're up by 7 or you're up by 6, you can take some more risks. And, and if they're a closer game, she might have pulled that out and had a set go against the Tigers. But why not take it in? She's having a hot day. She's got so much power. She's getting in there. And she is really just drilling it.
And when you see that shot, she's coming in, her stick is high. She's so tall, strong, just hits that low corner. Those are the toughest shots for the goalies to save.
Yeah. You stack the confidence in the Bulldogs right now because they have this lead. Chris, as a coach, you're down by 6, right? Like, you got to be way more careful with the ball, but you can't lose the edge or the chip on the shoulder either.
Yeah, you can't. We need to see some fight from the Tigers now, and we need to see that backed up with good play on the offensive end, right? They've got something to prove here, too. They are the regular season champs. They are number 4 in RPI. This is clearly not the game that they expected to have. And, we just need some more energy from them out here and turning that into some big plays at both ends.
Maggie Bacigalupo is going to take a shot in the circle. A freshman out there in the Ivy League championship game. Jen Cook's trying to find something here so the Tigers can get some more ball time.
At least to give Jenna Collignon something different to have to manage.
And that was better, and the Tigers in a struggle for it. It's still going to go to Yale, though. That was one of the better springs of the ball, though, for Princeton, but a nice job by Taylor Lane.
Yeah, I think the people on the circle might have been a little surprised because Jenna had been getting so many to herself in a row.
Rain picking up a little bit here at the end of the 3rd quarter. Yale will have to put something towards Cage. There is a 13-second difference, game clock to shot clock. And Yale, you heard someone yell on the Yale bench before time and score. They made that mistake at the end of the second quarter where they tried to force something and let the Tigers get a little bit of momentum going into the half. And they're going to be perhaps a little more careful here, or maybe not, as Jenna Collignan, my gosh, she had Dylan Allen dancing around, and then she just fired an absolute missile into the back of the net.
Wow, and that shot's probably from like 7 meters out. The pace on that shot, the strength, the release that she has, amazing. That's hard for any goalie to save that. Look at that, change of direction, fake, beautiful finish.
She scored 3 of the last goals. And you know it's frustrating for Princeton. It's probably acutely frustrating for Dylan because that shot is from the outside. But Collignan feeling her own flame here, lighting it up.
And the Tigers going to make a change in net. Amelia Hughes is coming in to try and see if she can give the Tigers a chance going into that fourth quarter. Rain coming down a lot heavier now as well. It is 12-4. And we should go back to it. That timeout by Erica Bamford, the first half of that third quarter, probably a little too loose for her liking. She called that timeout, and since then, her team has scored 4 straight goals and allowed nothing.
I mean, she knows the power of the Tiger offense too, right? Like you're playing offense all the time, but you got to think, okay, it's not just us on this field. Like Princeton can turn it on at any minute.
And another draw for Yale, and they can very much, don't even have to pull the trigger if they don't want to. What a performance by the Yale Bulldogs thus far. They are on a 10-2 run overall. Holmes, it is pouring right now here at Sherrod Field. Carasquillo will hand it off.
It has been impressive. And it's happened. One of the main reasons is because they're controlling all these draws. It's very hard for Princeton to get back in.
Yeah, the possession count is just hugely in Yale's favor.
Draws are 6-0 Yale in this third quarter, and that's certainly a reason. Ball back to Princeton, but that's going to do it. Well, Tigers had this down to a 4-goal game very early in the third quarter, but Yale has fired off the last 4 goals, and they have the biggest lead of the game. It is at 8. 15 minutes to go from back-to-back Ivy League tournament championships and headed back to the NCAA tournament. We'll be back right after this on the Ivy League on ESPN.
And Yale was ranked number 1, right, going into the season. Princeton was 3. So if ever there's an underdog label to be had, it's right now.
7 straight draws for Yale.
That has been the difference in this game. Princeton can't get possession, and a few times when they made some great defensive stops, they've had trouble transitioning it downfield into the offensive end.
Draw's been great. The keeper, Neve Pfaff, has stopped 6 of 10. That's been a big win for Yale. Rare to see the Tigers only having 4 goals through 45 minutes of play.
Such a prolific offense. The big 3 with Mackenzie Blake and Haven Dora and Jamie McDonald and a cast of supporting characters, really out of sorts. And I go back to they just not having possession time.
Whistle came before that shot. That was headed as well. Again, Amelia Hughes is in the net now for Princeton to try and shake something up. Give the Tigers a fighting chance here, and she's going to get thrown right into the fire with a free position shot here. Sky Carasquillo decided to fake, fired from distance anyway, and Yale can't miss right now.
Well, that's a different shot than we've seen. She's not driving down the left lane, but equally effective off that 8-meter. She is having herself a day.
She really is. And it's the pause, the hesitance that looks like she's going to hold it back out again and just, oh my goodness, like what a weirdly low angle, really far from the outside. And just, Carasquillo and Collignan are owning this offense, accounting for, so many of the last goals for Yale.
Sky Carasquillo was a freshman in that 22 Ivy League title game. She played so well that season. She was so dominant in the circle. And then all of a sudden in that championship game, she kind of ran out of gas. Sophie Whiteway got red hot, and the Tigers were on fire in the circle, and that really helped them jump out to a huge lead. They ended up winning by 10. And Sky Carasquillo is having an excellent day offensively.
Representing Georgia. I love non-traditional lacrosse playing players. She's crushing it.
GA. And Sky Carasquillo in that championship game a few years ago, she didn't have a goal. She didn't have an assist. She didn't have a shot on goal. She got really taken away. What a full circle moment it's been for her.
It is. She will remember this game, no doubt about it.
Yale back on the ball again. Taylor Lane just stepping in and firing. And what a really a reversal turnaround as well, a full circle moment. Yale got to the championship game in 22. They were down by 10 plus goals at one point, and it was running clock, and they've got the Tigers on their heels today. A bit of a reversal and a timeout on the field for Jen Cook. She's not going to wait for the media. She wants to try and reset here if the Tigers are going to have any chance. We're going to step aside for a break. We will come back. The final 13-20.
EI's the second best winning percentage across all 15 conferences. Really great year for the Ivies.
The selection show a little bit later on tonight. We'll see who from the Ivy. And did Yale just kind of concede that one? I'm not even sure Collignon pulled early there.
I think there was a foul on that.
Okay.
I think she did go early. And now, you know, Princeton, they have a lot of lacrosse left to play this season. So it is vital that they really play with some grit and fire and intensity now. You know, they're playing for pride right now. They've got to get as many goals as they can. I want to see them playing with energy out here and belief in themselves.
Takeaway, Katie Clare.
That's it. That play. She's
Same
a go-go
play, right?
gadget arms. I mean, really incredible.
Been unbelievable today from the defense. Tigers get the ball right back, though, and they've got some short field opportunities here if they can move along. To the goal line, Morris Rowe, an extra pass. McDonald couldn't get it to go. She got dumped pretty good there.
But that looks like Princeton lacrosse right there,
Sure.
It
right?
does.
Well, if the Tigers, I don't know what the word you would find are, but if they've been a little tentative, whatever the case was, you might as well be fearless now, down by 10, and that's the right idea. It passes a little bit off target, perhaps, but that's kind of what you're looking for.
That's
You got
what
to
we're
try and
looking
attack
for.
the middle.
Yep. Getting McKenzie in that middle, getting the feed in. Again, you see 3 Yale defenders collapse right on that feed. But that's what Princeton's got to do.
So with a 10-goal edge, the clock will run no matter what, and that certainly plays to Yale's favor as they're continuing to move along here. What's been close to a masterpiece from Erica Bamford's crew here in the Ivy League Tournament Championship.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this. If you're the Yale team, everything seems to be going right for them right now, and it's obviously tough to be on that other end. But you got to dig in and you got to fight, and you just got to try and keep making plays.
Here from the Princeton bench, they want pressure. They just want to let it loose as much as possible. As Carasquillo buries another one. 6 goals in the game.
That girl just doesn't seem to miss today.
No, and she's not letting up on the power and the commotion she's causing on the way to the cage. A lot of eyes on her, but she's getting that advantage. She's squaring her shoulders up. She's seeing where that open opportunity is, and she's putting it to the net. Totally an engine for Yale today.
6 shots on goal. All 6 have found the back of the net. That's how brilliant Sky Carasquillo has been. Senior here today, dominating. Her and Jenna Collignon. And we said maybe Yale's going to need some secondary scoring. They really haven't. It's been 6 for Carasquillo, 5 for Collignon, 2 for Lane. Sorry, make it 3 for Lane.
It's Princeton at this point, you're trying to find an anchor. Like the draw, is a 50-50 ball. You want to get that like a little bit of anchor down here, get it into the possession, get some anchors down in the passes, and the moving ball on offense, and maybe a goal can be another anchor. But you're looking for small anchors at this point.
Draws are 8-1 Yale in the second half, make it 9-1.
So 16-6 overall in the game. That's a big deficit to overcome 10 extra possessions just off the draw.
Shot attempts are 32-16 for Yale. Shots on goal are 22-10 for Yale. Calignan coming again, and a good save by Hughes. Launched across the field. Here's Colette Quinn. Oh, and Allen fell on the field a little bit behind the play, but she appears to be all right. As this is off for Nina Montez. Driving, tough angle, found a player behind cage, one extra cutter. Lane Calkins on the finish, and that looked more like Princeton Lacrosse.
Yes, it did. What a great play, great look inside. Really great ball movement, found the inside cutter wide open. That's what Princeton needs to do to add to their score total today.
Yeah, you can see Nina, she could very well have tried to shoot this, but in moving that ball, it opens up a cutter coming in. Again, it's just like a little bit of a skip pass over there, and then Lane comes in wide open. That's what they're going to need to keep doing. But first, they got to get the ball again.
Just a beautiful play. Yeah, and Nina's always going to draw two defenders. So she can get driving and move that ball. They're going to have some good looks.
Give an assist to Meg Morrisroe on that one.
Yeah, so when you see Nina out there, you always have to be looking as a defense, like the threat of the drive is there. So even just having her out there, if they're not intending to use that drive, you have to be ready to mount a defense there. So I like that she's on the field for that purpose alone. I'd love to also see some drives.
Good job there by Whiteway. Had a couple extra bursts at it, and Blake lost control of it. Nice handle by Morrisroe to pick it back up. Tigers trying to make it back-to-back goals.
Yeah, they got to start stringing them together.
Donald wanted a cutter. Dora wants to make a play, but it's not quite there. There's a play, but not quite executing. Blake was flashing open for a second. Ball available in the crease. They'll just dump it there inside the line, and it's taken on by Pfaff.
Yeah, McKenzie was definitely open, but Yale does a really good job of keeping their sticks up, looking to knock down those passes, making it difficult to get those inside feeds.
Nearly a strip by Princeton, but we'll carry on here, and the clock will continue to run with that 10-goal lead for the Bulldogs. This 16 senior group, what a run it's been over the last 3 years. And we're going to make it a change in goal on the fly here. The senior Cami Donadio, who started that game in the 2022 final, is going to get on the field here for the last few minutes.
Neve is getting just warm welcomes over here on the sideline. She comes off.
She was excellent. If that's how her day is going to finish, she stopped 6 of 11. You're signing up for that every single time. 16 senior group, 4 straight Ivy League championship games, and it looks like they're going to finish it off with back-to-back titles. Calignan just stepping right in, and a nice stop by Hughes.
Great save by Amelia there. That's tough when Calignan's on the doorstep. Great save.
If she had taken that on her strong side, it was going to be a tough stop. She cut into the middle with some space and made the save. There was a whistle there. It was against Princeton. There is Cami Donadio, the Winter Park, Florida native. She played most of that contest. The game against Princeton. Me Faith only played 3 minutes in that game in March. She got the start here today. And Erica Bamford, boy, she has pushed all the right buttons along the way the last few weeks.
She has
6 straight games, looking to make it 7.
Yeah, she's certainly gotten this team ready. They knew what they had to do down the stretch, and they're performing when it matters most.
Abigail Roberts, you figured there was going to be some sort of penalty there anytime there's a foul that close to the crease. Yeah, it's a 1-minute variety. Roberts, the junior, second-team All-Ivy Leaguer. Has been so good all around the field for Princeton this year.
Not quite sure what that card was for, a green card inside that space.
They're actually saying Collignon hit the post on that shot, so that was a few inches away from being her 6th of the contest. So woman up situation here for Yale. They certainly don't need to force anything, but there's a player wide open and they'll finish it off. Nicely done. That's Ashley Newman who gets on the board, and it's an 11-goal lead.
Yeah, Princeton's had some trouble with these man-down defense reps that they've had over this weekend. So that's something they're definitely going to need to work on as they prepare for the NCAAs.
And I think Yale has done an amazing job today of just attacking from everywhere. They've got long drives. They've got opportunities inside. They've got passes from behind to inside. It's really, they've I would say, put on a clinic offensively.
Princeton just 2 goals in the last 25 minutes. Yale thought they played excellent defensively on Friday night, allowing Penn just 10 goals. That number's half today, and we're closing in on the finish line. Clock continues to tick away with that 10-plus goal lead. Rain continues to come down here at Sherrod Field. There's a clean one for Whiteway, and it finds the body of Abigail Roberts. Tigers are on the move the other way. Morris Rowe stepping in, draws the shooting space foul, and just a simple draw like that and a quick pass or two, that kind of opened up a play for them there. They'll get a free position shot. Will Meg Morris Rowe. And did she jump early? Oh boy, the Tigers, they've had a few of those plays today. Just some little tiny details that have gone wrong that have given the ball back to Yale.
Yeah, it's been that kind of a day. But I will say, I mean, Yale's going to go into this NCAA tournament with a ton of momentum. They're feeling really good about how they're playing. Princeton's going to have to forget this game in one way. They've got to have short memories, obviously learn from what's happened out here. But remember that they are a great team. They were the Ivy League regular season champions. They have a very high RPI. They are going to be ready come NCAA time.
Now they play like this offensively and get we know what the defense can be. Goaltending, never quite know what you're going to get, but you get something of the version today. They could certainly make a run in the tournament. And a nice goal by Mackenzie Blake.
I think it's also to be said that marinated senior class that's twice the size of the usual senior class, right? Like they are in their prime right now, really like with all that maturity, with all that experience, being down, being up, losing probably more games than they thought they would this year, coming in the postseason play now to secure this Ivy League championship. And like you said, Chris, take the momentum going into, they have some battle wounds, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Been a very impressive 4 years for this Yale group, and it's going to continue into this NCAA tournament.
I'm really excited to see how the Ivy teams compete in the NCAAs. I think they're going to turn some heads and get some deep runs.
Yale, Princeton, and Penn all made it last year. They all won their first round game. Yale and Penn won their second round game as well. So they certainly showed out well in that as well. Looking to duplicate or do better this time around. Selection show will be on our family of networks a little bit later on tonight. We'll see who's in. Maybe an Ivy League team's going to host a regional. That's certainly up in the air, certainly a possibility. Princeton trying to turn up the pressure, maybe get the ball back one or two more times. Turnaround shot. You haven't seen Charlotte Callahan, the senior. It's her first set of the day. Pretty good look at Cage, too. Just didn't quite go.
Yale's got a lot of seniors on the field usually, but they're doing a good job of getting some of the kids who don't play as much into the game so that they can feel like they were a part of what happened on the field today.
Shannon Dahlquist is on the senior attack, number 34 in Navy. She's on the field. Got a whistle. And Sky Carasquillo got a little bit of a flat tire on her shoe. The Ivy League tournament trophy waiting in the wings. 91 seconds away from being presented. One last green card on the Tigers. Jay McDonald, who got cramped up in that game on Friday. got herself good to go for today. And the Tigers, big players. McDonald and Blake, just a goal apiece. Dora, 2 assists. Never quite found their rhythm for any long stretch in this game. That's certainly part of the reason that the Yale Bulldogs are going to be champs of the Ivy League.
Yeah, and credit Yale at both ends of the field. I mean, they've had a banner day. Defense really locked down to hold that high-scoring Princeton attack to 6 goals on the day. And, the offense, we've seen what they can do out here. Very impressive.
Sophie Whiteway is going to get tagged with a green card. Tigers take 2 green cards. They're trying to do anything they can to get the ball back, even though it's highly unlikely there's anything more coming out of this game for Princeton on the scoreboard. We'll play 2 players up, and the shot clock is unplugged, so they can just run this one away. Tigers will pressure in pockets. Boy, what a 4-year run it has been for this Yale University group. They were the young upstarts as Charlotte Callahan's going to fire one into an empty net, and Yale's not done putting their mark on this game. The senior, just her 5th game of the year, just her 5th goal of the year. What a nice moment for her to score in the Ivy League tournament final.
Yeah, I'm sure they were looking to hold that ball, but when you get a senior who doesn't play much and has a chance to score, that feels really great for her, and her team's very excited.
In 2022, the Yale University Bulldogs, they were the young upstarts, finally rising to prominence under Erica Bamford. They gave the Tigers everything they could in the regular season finale before they got to that tournament. They got to the final. The Tigers, a little bit too much experience for them in that one, and they fell short. 2023, they got back to the Ivy League tournament final again. They fell in overtime to Penn. Last year on their home turf, they got it done for the first time ever, and today, an authoritative 17-6 victory. The 2025 Ivy League champions are the Yale University Bulldogs for the 2nd year in a row.
Hats off to them. They earned it today all over the field. Yale are your 2025 Ivy League tournament champions.
And much like the Tigers did to them 3 years ago when they were just kind of learning how to go in Ivy League play, the Tigers beat them by 10. Today they win by 10 plus. And quite a full circle moment for this Yale University group. 16 seniors. Trophies already out on the field. There is celebration here on the road on this rainy Sherrod Field turf. Erica Bamford, some of the kids out there, and they're going to celebrate this one all the way back to New Haven on the bus ride back home.
Yeah, they will. There's nothing better than winning that tournament championship. If you're away, it's so much fun on your bus ride home. And when they're home, I'm sure they'll be celebrating tonight. But both teams are looking forward to Selection Sunday. Like I said, Princeton has to get past this game quickly. They have to move on, know that, for whatever reason, it just was not their day today, and they have to figure out how they're going to compete differently next time out. And just being who Princeton is, because Princeton playing like Princeton can, they can beat any team out there.
There's the Tigers. They were so good this year. They had an 11-game win streak. They were excellent in Ivy League play. Just one blemish coming into today. They pulled one out of the fire on Friday, and they never really got their footing after the first quarter ended in this one. And to lose on the home turf doesn't happen often. Tigers, when they're here, when they're in the Ivy League tournament, they don't lose very often. They normally get to the championship game, and they normally win it. Just the 2nd time since the tournament started in 2010 that they've lost an Ivy League championship game. Both have come here at Sherrod Field. So certainly some disappointment. And once you kind of get through today, flush it, you kind of forget about it, put it in the rear view, and nothing more you can do about it once you get to Monday, right? It's about the NCAAs.
It's kind of nice that they have a little bit of time off, and they'll gather all together tonight and see where, their path is for the NCAAs. That'll boost their spirits, get them excited for what lies ahead. But it is so disappointing for them, and it's really difficult to watch another team win on your home field. I've been there. I know it doesn't feel good, and for these Princeton players and coaches, this was not at all what they dreamt and envisioned and prepped for. But they'll be back. Jen and her coaches are the Ivy League coaching staff of the year. They'll have this team ready. I'm excited to see what they do in the NCAAs and to follow Yale as well, who looks like they're going to give a lot of people some trouble in the tournament.
There's the celebration a little bit closer to the fans. Everybody grouped together on the Yale side. And Yale, they didn't make the NCAA. The 2010s, it was very Penn heavy. It was Princeton heavy. And Yale, since the calendar flipped to 2020, they are just as equals as a Penn, a Princeton. There are three real dominant teams at the top. We talked a little bit about Brown earlier the last few days, Harvard as well. And they are going to celebrate on the field. Tigers, the only other time they've lost in the Ivy League championship game also came on home turf 2014 against Penn. And they're going to take a picture. Well, they were the favorites. It took them maybe a little bit longer of a roundabout way to get to where they wanted to. Again, they had 2 losses in the Ivy before we even got to April. But then they picked it up, played some strong lacrosse down the stretch. 6 straight wins coming into today. And their 2nd straight Ivy League championship. Not that they needed the validation, but back-to-back titles certainly confirms their staying power in the Ivy League. And 4 straight Ivy League tournament championship final games.
All those happy faces. When you're playing Ivy teams, anything can happen. And hats off to Yale. What a great performance today.
Some of the championship shirts starting to get busted out. You saw the bracket as well. And we're going to check down on the field in a moment here once we get the green light. It is Sky Carasquillo. She's down on the field with Krista. Krista?
Sky, you had 6 goals in this game representing Georgia. What does it feel like to be an Ivy champion in your senior year?
I mean, we've worked so hard for this. It feels amazing. I don't have any more words. Like, it was revenge time, and we did what we did.
You did not miss, I think. Like, what were you like? I'm hot. I'm gonna keep going. What was the deal?
Erica just instilled so much confidence in us, so it really was coming from the sideline too. Everyone was cheering. Everyone was hyped. So I just felt all that energy.
We felt it too. You were absolutely amazing. Great job.
Thank you so much.
That's Sky
So
Carasquillo.
incredible.
She was incredible. Yeah, not just 6 goals weren't enough. She had an assist as well. She was basically involved on almost half of the Yale 17 goals. And a lot of her friends did the draw start. We assume, and there's the Erica Bamford getting crashed. The blue Gatorade, of course, for the navy blue Yale University Bulldogs. That feels right. And what a nice moment for them. They won last year on their home turf. They did it on the road this time. So another feather in the cap of head coach Erica Bamford. And she is stepping up right now. Let's throw it down to Krista one more time. She's with Erica Bamford, the head coach of Yale. Krista?
Coach, defending champs, you did it again. What does it feel like?
Oh, I have no words. I'm so proud of this group. It's such a special team, and I'm just really proud of all 38 of them for what they do every single day, and I'm just so happy it came to fruition today on the biggest moment of the year so far.
I got to ask you about the timeout that you took. It felt like it was like insurance. Okay, what were you saying during that? They were still behind a little bit, but what were you saying then?
Just stay the course. This is a great Princeton team. Just keep going, do your thing. Let's make sure we're playing Yale lacrosse right now.
You have done such a great job with this team. What a beautiful moment for the seniors and for you. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's Erica Bamford, the head coach, and glad Krista asked about that. That was an interesting moment in the game. It was 8-4. Yale was kind of turning the ball over a little bit. That just didn't feel quite like they were on top of their game on either side of the field, even though they only allowed the 1 goal. She called a timeout about midway through that 3rd quarter, and they really turned it up. I mean, gosh, the rest of the way, it was 9-2 Yale after that timeout. It was definitely an inflection point.
Yeah, well, and she did the same thing the game before, right? I mean, her timeouts have really been very timely, and her team responded both on Friday night and today. Princeton, earlier today, during that time in the 3rd quarter, they had made a number of stops in a row on D, right? And, when she called that timeout, things changed for sure.
She made changes in the draw circle today and on Friday that led to some momentum and tactical advantages in the game. As the Ivy League championship is up on the big board here at Sherrod Field, the rain's starting to pick back up again. The players are going to celebrate this one a little bit longer out there on the field. We're going to have one more interview coming.